Welcome to Mind Your Mental Health channel. This is our 16th episode. So far we have done 15 episodes in which we talked about mind, different aspects of the mind, what is mind, where it is, and how does the mind work. All these topics we covered in the last 15 episodes. In this episode, I'm going to talk about normal and abnormal mind. It's a difficult concept to define normal and abnormal. And suppose I ask you what is abnormal, what is abnormality, there is no single answer. Probably we can say whichever is not normal can be abnormal. That is too broad. Then we'll have to define normality. What is normality? So let's try and understand what is normal and what is abnormal mind. Let me first discuss about abnormal mind, then we'll go on to the normal mind. So what is abnormal? What is abnormal behavior, or what is abnormal thinking, or what is abnormal emotions, or what is abnormal perception, or what is abnormal speech? So the normality and abnormality depends on different factors, different concepts. If I do something here, it could be normal. If I repeat the same thing in some other place, it could be abnormal. So it is also dependent on situation and the things happening around us. There are many things decide a person behavior or talk or thinking is normal or abnormal. We can broadly discuss under 5 topics. Number 1, a mental disorder or a mental problem or mind's abnormality could be a violation of norm or a value of that particular society or community. So that is the first concept. The next one is a mental disorder or abnormal mind could be a statistical deviation, a concept of statistics, where the abnormal behavior is significantly different from the normal behavior, statistically significant from the normal behavior. Then we call it as a abnormal behavior or abnormal mind or mental disorder. Another way to look at it is dysfunctional. A mind which is dysfunctional or a mind which leads to dysfunction could be considered as an abnormal mind. And the fourth view or fourth way of looking at it is the mind causing discomfort, personal discomfort to the person. That could be an abnormal mind. Mind is supposed to be supportive and keep us happy and keep us productive. All those things are mind's functions. And that mind keeps us sad or induces lots of discomfort, and that could be an abnormal mind. And lastly, the 5th concept could be mind leading to abnormal behavior. In that case, that mind can be abnormal or it could be a mental disorder which leads to abnormal or maladaptive behavior. Let us see in detail about each concept. I'll give you some examples and then we'll see. So first is, I talked about normal norms and values of a society or a system. So when a person deviates from that norm, then that becomes an abnormal. That behavior or that thinking or that thought becomes abnormal. Simple example, if a person goes to the funeral and starts laughing, that is abnormal. We all will consider it as an abnormal. Why? Because he is violating a norm. In a funeral, we don't expect people to joke around and make fun and laugh. Funeral is a situation where we behave in certain way. We express our condolences, and the way we talk, the way we communicate, the facial expression, bodily language, everything differs. If I'm not following that norm, then that becomes an abnormal behavior. So if I see a person who comes into a funeral house and starts giggling, laughing, and probably even dancing, then all of us will consider that is abnormal behavior. It could be a sign of mental disorder. So, deviating grossly from a norm can be considered as an abnormal mind, or it could be a product of mental disorder. Next is, I said, statistical deviation. For example, for that is learning disability. Now, is a diagnosis. We used to call it as a mental retardation. We don't use the terminology. It was very pejorative, demeaning. So we don't use that terminology. Learning disability. Even disability is not accepted nowadays. So we keep improving our nomenclature and the way we name a disorder. Intelligence is usually assessed by a psychological test, what we call IQ test, which leads to IQ, intelligent quotient score. And if you conduct a large study of the population, administering that scale to everyone and then plotting the results will form in a bell-shaped curve. What it means is a small proportion of the population will have a low intelligent quotient and another small population will have a very high intelligence score. In between, majority will have a pattern of distribution which is neither extremely high or extremely low. Usually, the normal range will be anywhere between 70 to 100, 120. If it falls below 70, way below 70, then it becomes a learning disability. Usually they say 2 standard deviation. 1 standard deviation is 15, 2 standard deviation. So the people belong to that group with a low intelligent quotient can exhibit certain behavior, can exhibit some impairment, can exhibit some difficulty in life, in learning and adapting, coping. That group of people are considered as learning disability group. So it is a statistical deviation which gives us the diagnosis or the abnormal behavior or abnormal mind, where the mind's development, the brain's development is arrested or impaired. That's why they get into that kind of situation. So it is a statistical deviation. Then comes the dysfunction. All of us have our functions, life's functions. We go to work, we are productive, we perform well, we earn well, and we look after our family, relate well. So all those things are different functions of the human being. Or not only human being, any living being. So they have these functions. When these functions are impaired, if that is due to the mind, then it could be a mental disorder or abnormal mind leading to dysfunction. For example, I developed a condition called mania. Mania where your mood is extremely high and you will develop abnormal thoughts like I'm the king or I'm a billionaire. In reality they may not be, but they believe they are that, and I will act on that. I can become very aggressive, I can become very talkative, I may not kind of look at the place where I am, I'll just do whatever I want, wherever I want. I might become disinhibited. All those things can lead to a condition called mania. This could impair the function of the person. They can become a risk to themselves, others, their productivity will come down, relationship will break down, all this can lead to dysfunction. So then the mental disorder leading to dysfunction or mental faculties are dysfunctional. So that is one concept. Then personal discomfort. Certain mind's thinking or abnormal thinking can lead to discomfort or distress in an individual. For example, I said mania, where they'll feel very happy, extremely happy, ecstasy, but opposite of that will be depression. Depression, people suffer Depression can cause discomfort, distress in a person. That's why they are so distressed, they feel I shouldn't live. That kind of a distress comes in. So mental disorder presents as a discomfort. So that is an abnormal aspect of the mind. Then lastly, we talked about maladaptive behavior. Certain mind's problem can lead to maladaptive behavior. For example, I'm phobic to certain things. I'm phobic of leaving the house, going into open spaces, going for a shopping. Then my adaptive behavior, maladaptive behavior to that is, I will avoid going out. I will avoid stepping out of my house. That is a maladaptive behavior stemming from my emotions, my anxiety of leaving the home. So I might have different thoughts on that. So that is maladaptive behavior. So mind can lead to maladaptive behavior, and that could be abnormal. Next, I said we will talk about normal. What is normal mind? It is more difficult than abnormal mind. Defining a normal mind is more difficult than abnormal mind. If a person comes to me and then he has some problem and he talks to me, and then we elicit signs and symptoms, and probably it will take about an hour. Sometimes it might go longer, but usually in about an hour to come to a diagnosis or come to a decision, this person is suffering from mental disorder. And probably we'll come to the diagnosis also, then we'll talk about treatment. If a person comes to me and then he says, I want a certificate that I am a normal person. Or in other words, court is asking me to find out whether this person is normal or abnormal. It is more difficult to do that kind of an assessment, because we'll have to observe him over a period of time. We might have a longer duration of assessment to say that this person is completely normal. So that why we say defining normality is difficult, and it's a normal and abnormal are relative concept. It's related to each other. Okay, so let's try and see what is normal mind. So mind has certain functions. If all these functions are executed normally to the extent of what the person should be doing, then probably it is a normal mind. So we need to look at different aspects of it. The first is reality. All of us are in touch with reality. We know where we are, what is happening. We know what we are doing, what is my job, what are the relationships, overall in the family, how to relate to them. All those things are reality. When I move away from the reality, then it is abnormal. So keeping in touch with the reality is normal mind. So normal mind makes me realize what I am, what I am doing, the consequences of my action. All those things are embedded in the reality. So I am in touch with the reality, then I am normal. One aspect of the mind. Next is the ability to feel happiness, ability to have that contentment, ability to have that satisfaction. That is also part of the life, part of the mind, which makes us feel normal. Next is compassion and empathy. As a human being, as a living being, how much of compassion we have in other people, how much of empathy we can exercise in other people. If I feel, if somebody comes to me with a lot of sorrows and distress, whether I am able to understand, whether I am able to put myself in their shoe and see this is what happening to that person, that is empathy. The ability to have empathy and compassion is another normal aspect of the mind. And adaptive behavior, we discuss about maladaptive behavior. But adaptive behavior is where I'm able to cope with my life situation, stressors and challenges by healthy adaptive behavior. That is another normal mind's function. Then interpersonal relationship, as far as I'm able to maintain a good interpersonal relationship in a normal situation to the normal extent, that is an indication of normal mind or normality. Then productivity. All of us need to be kind of working or doing something and then be productive in whatever way we can. That is another aspect of the mind, another function of the mind, another life's important aspect. So this is another one. Then when we come to the productivity, we are also talking about achievements. What we achieve in our work, in our education, in our training, in our family, in our life, that is another normal function of the mind. Then perception, how we perceive the world. Is there anything abnormality in the perception? If there is no abnormal perception, we are having a healthier perception, then it is normal mind. Thought, thinking, the line of thinking, content of the thinking, all those things within the normal level, then we call it as a normal mind. Then we have emotions, which should be normal, with a normal fluctuation. Now, when I say normal, I am not talking about a fixed emotion. All of us have ups and downs in our emotions. We get anxious some certain situation, we get back to normality. We get depressed or sad, then we come back to normal self. We might be happy or very happy depending on the situation, but after some time we come down to normal, what we call euthymic state. So these thoughts, perception, emotions and behavior, if they are all within the normal limits, then it is a normal mind. So these are all some of the aspects we look into, say that this is normal. Okay, and to sum it up, so we have in a day 24 hours to live. Our life consists of 24 hours at a time. So today 24 hours, tomorrow 24 hours. Life goes on like that. We can divide this 24 hours into 3 8 hours. 1 8 hour for sleep. I go to bed around 10 o'clock, wake up around 6 o'clock in the morning. So 8 hours. 8 hours of good sleep, deep sleep, no disturbances. I'm able to fall asleep normally, get up fresh. There is no hangover, and I wake up fresh and then looking forward to the day. So that is 1 8 hour. The next 8 hour is work. So 9 to 5. I go to work, perform well, and carry out and meet all the expectations of the work, and I'm able to be productive. That is another 8 hours. And another 8 hours is for family and friends. I am able to have a very good relationship with the friends and family. I am able to fulfill all the duties of the family, whatever I need to do for my family, wife, children, all those things. If I do that properly, then another 8 hours is productive and normal. So if we divide our life into 3 8 hours a day, if we look after each 8 hour, we know what to do in these 8 hours compartment. If we do it properly, then that will be the normal life. Dear viewers, today we talked about abnormal and normal mind. It's a big concept. We try to explain it as simple as possible. Normal and abnormal mind, differentiating between them is very important. That makes us understand what is mental illness. So next you need to know what is mental illness. That will be our next episode. We are going to talk about mental illness. Let's say I can title it as Introduction to Mental Illness. Introduction to the concept of the mental illness. What is mental illness? So we will talk about it in our next episode. Thank you for being with us.